Thank you. It was really nice meeting you in person finally.
Nice meeting you as well.
Lily, yeah, because we've been talking on the phone for a while. So, and I appreciate the photographs, the really rich photographs, and the bio that was sent over as well. I'd like to just start from the beginning.
Okay.
It's a little bit like a personal biography. So, where were you born and raised?
I was born in Kowloon, Hong Kong, and came over when I was 2.5. And when we came over, we lived in an apartment on the corner of Bayard and Mulberry. And right across the street from the old PS 23, where Mocha had their original collection. But you know, I lived there for until we moved over to Confucius Plaza when Confucius Plaza was built. So I came over in 1953, and we moved over to Confucius Plaza in 1973, 74, something like that.
And what are your ancestral origins? Like, where are your parents or great-grandparents or grandparents from? Where's the lineage from?
Well, my father's family is from Toisan. My mother, she grew up in Hong Kong, so all she knows is Hong Kong. But you know, it was interesting that my father was born here. My grandfather had come over and had my father and my aunt here, and then they moved back to China. Okay, and then what happened was when the war broke out, they sent my father and my aunt back to the States to live with relatives since they were U.S. citizens. And so my father grew up in Massachusetts and served in the Navy. And when he was discharged from the Navy, my grandfather says, "Time to come home." So he went back and he married my mother in Hong Kong. And then he decided that he was going to come back and set up a homestead for our family. But my grandfather didn't want my mother and I to leave Hong Kong. He said, "You're not leaving until I pass." And so my father was in the States, and when he finally passed in 1953, my mother and I came over. So I met my father at that time, because when he came over, my mother was expecting me, and he hadn't really met me at the time.
That's a really nice story. And what were your parents like? What did they do for
A living?
You mentioned, yeah.
Yeah, well, my father was a restaurant worker.
Okay.
And he worked at the Chinese Rathskeller on Mott Street. It's no longer there, but he worked there for a number of years. My mother, when she came over, was a seamstress, and then they invested in a dry cleaners on Bayard Street. My uncle was running it, and he basically turned the business over to my family. And so my mother handled the dry cleaning business. And so we grew up on Bayard Street, helping out at the dry cleaners. And
yeah, I was going to ask where you grew up, and you're sharing a little bit about it now. What are some of your memories of growing up on Bayard Street? And also, it sounds like you were, as children, a bit, right?
Well, back in those days, there weren't very many cars. And part of the fun we had was actually playing in the street with friends, and you were able to play until an occasional car passed by. But now you can't even walk down the street. But we went to the Chinese school on Mott Street, and I spent a lot of time there. Not just going to the Chinese school there, but being part of the drum corps music group that was housed in the building.
Tell me a little bit more about that, the drum corps, what interested
It's
you
a
in that?
drum, fife, and bugle corps. It's a music organization that actually were the ambassadors of Chinatown. Because every time there was an event, they would ask us to go and perform. We were part of the CCBA building, so their events were often highlighted by our performances there.
Oh, nice.
And then when I grew older, I actually became a co-director of the drum bugle and fife corps, along with my husband. So I met him when I was very young.
Oh, how old were you guys?
When I met,
Yeah.
I was 7 and he was 9.
Oh my God. That's a nice story, maybe separately. That's good. I was going to ask, sounds like you spent a lot of time at the Chinese school, language school
Yeah.
too, and in the neighborhood, and what are some of your, I was going to ask, where did you attend elementary school? And did you have any favorite classes?
Well, I went to PS 23, right across the street from where I lived. And as a preschooler, I used to hang out at the window. And my window looked directly into the principal's office across the street. And every morning, the principal would wave to me. And, you know, it was a nice little routine we had. And when I was finally old enough to go to school, she says, you don't even have to verify your address because I know where you live. But I think the proximity to the school and watching, you know, the kids go in and out and, you know, it sparked my interest about going to, you know, about schooling.
So
And then-
good experience, yeah.
Yeah. So when I started school there, as I went through the grades, I actually became very involved in helping to tutor other classmates who may have been new arrivals to this country, because there were a lot of immigrants coming in at the time. And so that sparked my interest in teaching. And so when I went to middle school, I joined the Future Teachers Club and, you know, also volunteered to tutor kids on subjects that they were struggling in.
That's very interesting. It sounds like you had a passion or interest in especially teaching kids from other countries. What do you think got you interested in that?
Well, I think
Or other cultures,
I think having to learn English myself, and I have to say I was very lucky that I had very good teachers that, you know, helped me improve my English well enough that people normally would have a hard time discerning whether or not I was, you know, born in another country. And I think all those experiences in elementary school and middle school kind of steered me in a way towards teaching English as a second language.
Oh.
And so my undergrad studies was in elementary education. And when I went for my master's, I specialized in teaching English as a second language.
Oh. So I was going to ask, what did you want to be when you grew up? It sounded like it found you.
It found, yeah, absolutely.
Is that right?
It was. I feel it's a calling because you know, it always made me feel really good about helping other people. You know, in terms of being able to communicate in a way that they needed to.
So I'm going to ask, can you tell me about some of the important people in your life, including teachers? Do you have any favorite teachers or mentors along the way, all throughout high school even, that got you going?
Well, the principal across the street in the elementary school, Dr. Lilash, was an influence on me. My second grade teacher, actually my third grade teacher, Mrs. Spiegel, was an influence as well. And so, you know, they allowed me opportunities to to do what I like to do, and that was to help other people. And it actually, see, I'm a firm believer the more you're able to explain something to another person, the more you understand that subject yourself. Because I carry that that particular thought when I became principal at PS 130. Where kids are helping kids, and if you can explain something, that means you truly understand it. Okay, and if you have a desire to help somebody and you don't know the subject, you're going to go look up more information on that particular study.
That's very interesting. How do you feel like that philosophy developed? It's a pretty considerable one.
Because I found that kids who are able to explain things to another person really understood the content themselves, and as a result would do better on their own exams and their own essays, to be able to express themselves about that subject matter.
So you graduated from high school, you went to Bronx, is that
Bronx
correct?
Science.
Bronx Science?
I went to Bronx
How
Science.
did you end up at Bronx Science?
Well, we had
You
to take an
took-
exam.
Oh,
There were three, at that time, they had three specialized high schools that you could take exams for. That was Bronx Science, Brooklyn Tech, and Stuyvesant. At the time I was entering high school, the only specialized high school that allowed girls was Bronx Science. The other two, Brooklyn Tech and Stuyvesant, were boys-only school. So I was lucky enough to get into that school. Yeah, I have to thank the teachers I had
yeah.
that helped me in being able to compete with people who were not, from an immigrant family. That it put me on a level playing field with the others.
And when you were at Bronx Science, did you already decide that you were going towards a teaching career? It sounds like that.
I did.
Or it goes back to that question, what do you want to be when you grow up? But it sounds like you knew or found you.
Right. But I found opportunities at Bronx Science to to take part in anything that would help me prepare for teaching. Such as, well, again, volunteer to help tutor people who needed tutoring, and or needed somebody to just help them give a little more confidence. So it, quite naturally, when I went to college, I ended up majoring in education.
And that was at NYU.
No, that was at Queens College.
That was at Queens College.
Right.
Okay. And what was your dream job at the time? I mean, I'm assuming you were in your early 20s, right, or late teens. If you could wave your magic wand at the time, what was your
Well,
dream
at that
job?
time, I mean, Confucius Plaza had just been built for a while, and there was a school that was built right in the building. At the base of the building was PS 124, which actually took over PS 23, because PS 23 building was not, I guess, not large enough for the population, and so they built a new building in Confucius Plaza, and moved all the children from PS 23 over to PS 124.
Oh, okay.
And my dream job originally was wanting to be principal of the school downstairs,
wow.
where I was living. But as it was, I did not get that one because there was somebody already in place. But I was solicited for the position of principal at PS 130.
Okay.
And it was quite interesting because prior to being asked to become principal there, I had moved in different positions. I started off as an elementary school teacher. got laid off in the mid-'70s, where they had a massive layoff. There were more kids than teachers. I mean, more teachers than kids. Okay, so they had to lay off a lot of teachers. I think I was in a pool of close to 8,000 teachers being laid off at that year.
Wow, so what did you do?
So I took on other jobs, teaching. So I taught night school, adult ed, teaching English. And then when another opportunity came up, because I was licensed in teaching English as a second language from kindergarten to 12th grade, I ended up getting an appointment at a high school, Lower East Side Prep. And I was teaching, they call it Lower East Side Prep, it was really an alternative high school for kids who were overage and in trouble. So that, you know, it was a sort of a last chance school. You either go to school, you go to jail, or you know, it just was that kind of population. So I taught there for a while, and I was subsequently recruited to join the state education department.
To join the NY?
No, the state, New York State Education Department. And so I became part of the team at the state level that oversaw programs in all of New York State and that established policies for second language learners.
Okay.
And so while I was on that job, I ended up, we had children, and so I ended up taking a leave from the position at the New York State Education Department. And when I was finally ready to go back to work, I had to make up my mind. Do I want to go back to a school setting? Do I want to work in an office?
Yeah.
You know,
Different options.
what do I want to do?
Yeah.
But at least I was fortunate enough to have those options. So the solicitation for the principalship at 1:30 came in the mail, and when I opened it, I asked my husband, I said, what do you think? And he says, well, you know, why don't you go for the interview and see what they're asking for?
Yeah.
And so take it as an experience that would prepare you for the next interview you have. Because most people don't get their job on the first interview.
Right.
So I went for the interview, and surprisingly, I was called in for a second interview. And then the third interview was with the school board. And at that time, I had to say, you know, if this comes true, I have to be ready to accept the position. So, you know, I can't say, oh, I was only kidding. So we made a family decision that if I took on this job, that I would have the full support of my husband and the kids. And
how old were your kids at the time?
They were young. They were young. My son was 4 entering pre-K. My daughter was in 2nd grade. And but I needed my mother to, you know, to be in on this too, because it would, you know, she would have to help me babysit. Because one of the things is that at the time, PS 130 was a struggling school, and so the superintendent knew of my reputation from the state ed department and knew my reputation in the organizations that I participated in. And because PS 130 at the time had a majority immigrant students, most of whom did not speak English, he thought I'd be a perfect candidate for it. The school itself, I have to say, was a happy place.
Yeah.
But they didn't know they were struggling. You know, they kind of accepted the fact that, you know, we're trying, the kids are trying, what do you expect? You know, that I thought they did unintentionally put a ceiling on the on achievements of the kids,
Hmm.
And so, looking at the rankings of the school amongst all of the schools in New York City,
Yeah.
PS 130 was in the bottom half,
Oh, wow.
Okay. with only about 30% passing in reading and writing,
Mhm.
and they're about 30%
And of course you knew
math.
all this going in, because that's why they solicit, right?
Well, I didn't know until I got the job. I did some research while I was
Oh, I see.
going through
Yeah.
the interview.
So it was a family decision, but was for yourself, looking at the challenge?
Right.
Was
I
it-
needed to be able to devote my time
Yeah.
to be a success.
Mhm.
If I had no one to help me, then I'd be torn between my family
Yeah.
and a job.
Mhm.
So basically, my family said, concentrate on your job work. We've got your back.
Oh, okay.
So it was good because I found myself working 12, 13 hours a day. So
Yeah, I was gonna.
I
yeah.
would get to school about 6:30, 7 o'clock, and I wouldn't leave till 7, 8, 9 o'clock sometimes.
Wow, so I was gonna ask to go down memory lane a little bit, and there's probably so many different memories, right? How long were you there for in total number of
At the
years?
school?
At the school?
25 years.
25 years. What are some of the, when you first arrived, some of the challenges that you faced, and how did you find creative ways or tackle them? I
Well-
imagine that there's a wide range.
Well, the assistant principal at the time in the school had already been in the school for 30 years. And he thought he was going to get the job. He had been part of the school as a student teacher, assistant principal, and so he thought he had it in a bag. And so, and I guess, people kind of expected that.
Mhm.
And so when the superintendent decided that the Chinatown schools needed stronger leadership in making change, so they would be more competitive with the other schools in the district, because there are 6 elementary schools and 1 middle school in Chinatown, and all of them at the time were underperforming, with the exception of PS 124. And the superintendent had put in the principal at 124 to make the change, and she was successful. Okay, so he wanted the same change at PS 130.
Mhm.
And so, like I said before, the place was a happy place. Teachers were very content. But they didn't know what they didn't know.
Mm.
And you stay within the 4 walls of your classroom, and you're doing the best you can. But if you don't have the chance to learn from others and for professional development,
Mhm.
then you won't change your way. You're left to your own devices.
What were some of the biggest challenges, though? I mean, it sounds like it was a happy place. Maybe they didn't know. They did not know.
Well, the challenge was
You're outside because you're coming in
Yeah,
with a
right,
fresh set of eyes.
the reception was not warm.
So 130, I heard, is a very, very lower, right? 25% below.
Right.
So one interesting thing you said is they were at a happy place actually, but they didn't
Right,
know what they didn't know.
Exactly. So I
you
had-
coming in with a fresh set of eyes, what did you see as the biggest?
Well, I actually was doing some research on the school and a lot of observations. I found that the teachers were definitely very dedicated, and they loved the children, but they were kind of spinning their wheels in a lot of cases because they didn't have the materials or the knowledge to help the kids perform better. And so I provided more opportunities for them to visit other classrooms, visit other schools, and bring back ideas, and then have an opportunity to have discussions between teachers, having teachers talk to each other on the grade, because before that, they had closed doors, and everybody was doing their own thing in their classrooms, and in fact, the curriculum was so fragmented that there was no particular practice that went from one grade to the next. And so, because you didn't have any continuity, in the teaching methodology and expectations of the kids. There was no way of really tracking how well the kids are doing. And so, you know, we needed to have conversations between staff to say, if you're covering these authors on grade 2, then if you want to cover the same authors in grade 3, you have to pick different books. You know, it doesn't make sense to teach the same thing.
Mhm.
But, you know, you know, we made changes very slowly. I brought in a staff developer that worked very closely with me. I had to make it non-threatening for the staff.
Mm.
And so, you know, I told them there were negotiables and non-negotiables. The negotiables is how you learn, you know, the new methodology. But when you know, but the non-negotiable is that you have to learn it. So whether you learn it through the workshops I provided, or meeting with your colleagues, and, you know, attending outside staff development, you had to pick one, and you could pick it on your own schedule. So because sometimes when they hire consultants to work with teachers, the consultant has her own schedule,
Yeah.
and say, I'm going to come into your classroom at 10 o'clock
Mhm.
on Monday.
Mhm.
And then the teachers say, well, I'm in the middle of something else on Monday,
Right.
you know.
Mhm.
So I worked with a particular staff developer who, we had a conversation saying, you know, I'm going to use you as the go-between, okay? They're going to come to you
Mhm.
to set up a schedule, okay? And basically, I want you to tell them that, you know, I'm being evaluated by how well you are listening to me and trying the ideas.
Mhm.
So, you know, and she was a very personable person
Mhm.
that the staff liked.
Mhm.
So, you know, they don't like to get each other in trouble. So say, okay, we'll try it. We'll do it.
Yeah.
But they found that because they tried a lot of the new methodology, the kids were actually performing much better.
Hmm.
And, you know, over the years, when we, you know, we did little by little. I didn't want to, you know, ram it down their throats, but
Mhm.
it had to be done. But you have to take some time. You know, it's like driving a car.
Mhm.
You can't, you know, step down a pedal.
So one thing I'm hearing is that when you first arrived, you were not welcome. Not welcome.
Like,
And when did you start to see some changes, and what do you I was going to say, what do you consider some milestones of your journey?
I think by
your journey or chapter?
second year, third year,
Mhm.
we started to make some inroads.
You could feel it, you could see it, or?
Well, I felt it because a lot of times what happens is people say, oh, we'll outlive her. You know, she's the...
What does that really mean? Yeah.
But, you know,
Yeah.
you see who's receptive, and you try to put them to use and see who are the inside leaders,
Mhm.
and trying to get them to buy in
Oh, okay.
to what you're doing. And for me, it worked, because
Right.
over the years, the school went from a school that was in danger of the state takeover,
Oh, wow.
okay,
Mhm.
to a nationally recognized Title I distinguished school.
Hmm.
And then the year I left, and my replacement principal, who I hired as a teacher, he took it to the next level, because now they believe in the methodology, and so he brought it up to where the school now is a national blue ribbon school.
Oh, wow.
So you know, it's one of the best in the country.
What are some favorite stories from your work life of being a principal?
The relationships. I think the relationships that I made with a lot of the staff, and by the way, even though when I came in, nobody wanted to listen to me, during the first 10 years that I was there, I only replaced maybe 10 staff out of a staff of 40 some odd people.
Oh, wow.
And so you know they're dedicated. They want to do the right thing. And when they got to know me as a person, I became friends with many of them. And in fact, I retired in 2014. I am still in touch with many of them. And when I got sick, when I had to go for my transplant and whatnot, they basically helped take care of me.
For example, what are some of the things?
Well, the relationship was not just with staff, but with the parents as well.
Ah, okay.
And so I became very close with the Parents Association, and because of my relationship with the Parents Association, we were able to raise more money for the school, because with budget cuts and stuff, they cut out programs. And I'm a firm believer of the arts, and so I feel like the kids need another vehicle to learn, not just books, and they have to actually be part of it, and know what the relationships of different jobs have to do with their education.
Right.
They say, oh, why do I have to learn this? And so we partnered up with programs like Rosie O'Donnell Theater Kids, where they brought people in to work with them in singing and dancing
For the
program.
kids, they would learn.
Right. And then she provided an opportunity for all of those kids, that was for our 5th grade, for all those kids to go to a Broadway show and meet the actors after the show. And where they talked about, you want to be an actor? Well, you have to know history. So you have to know history because you need to know the time period that they're in, and how they talked, how they dressed, how they walked. If you like art, the scenery and background, well, that's normally on a small piece of paper. They have to blow it up, and that's math, because you have to be able to expand. And so, they explain it so they can see, if I want to do that, then I better be better at this subject. And, you want to be an actor, you have to be able to read. You have to read your lines.
And it sounds like art and music is something that
Exactly.
you yourself,
Yeah.
when you were growing up, really enjoyed, right? Like you were
Right,
mentioning the
right.
instruments as well.
But I found it that
Yeah.
music was also a way for the kids who have special needs and may not be as academically astute as the other kids. It actually brought out a side of them that people never saw. The kid who has trouble reading is the best dancer in the class. Okay, so I find, and then the ones who are really smart in school have 2 left feet. And so sometimes I found them, the kids themselves, are helping each other by saying, listen, I'll help you with your math if you help me with my dance steps.
Nice. I was going to say, when you talk about relationships, you mentioned like the staff, of course, the teachers that you work with in your staff, but also the parent,
Yes,
right? The parents. And then there's the students.
Yes.
Any favorite stories of the students, and
Well,
do they still keep in touch with you?
They do keep in touch with me. And what we've done also is that some of them, a good number of them, after having left the school, come back to volunteer. And so, we run a line dance club at the school. And so the kids who had been through line dance while they were in school come back to help teach the little kids line dancing, after school. And so, there's a relationship where they don't just graduate and leave. They
Yeah.
have good memories and they want to give back. And that's a good thing. And, a lot of them keep in touch with me through Facebook. And, occasionally I bump into them in the strangest places. When I was working at Columbia Teachers College, I was running a program for professional development for high-performing principals. And I was on my way to a session
Yeah.
that was running in Chicago.
Hmm.
And I was checking in with the TSA agent,
Yeah.
and he looks at my document and he says, "Mrs. Wu?" I said, "Yes." And he goes, "You were my principal." You know, of course, I didn't recognize him because when they leave me, they're about this big,
Oh.
right? When they go through life, they get into middle school and high school, they become,
That's so funny.
tall young men and women.
Yeah, that's a great story. In what I hear is that even when you were much younger in high school and so forth, you were very, very interested already in a career pathway in teaching and education. So why did you pick the kindergarten through the elementary school age? What was it about that age that drew you, or maybe it found you?
Because that's where the foundation starts. You can't make up lost time in middle school and high school. So if you have a good foundation when they're young, you can build on that foundation. There's a study that says if a child doesn't learn to read by age 7, they're going to have trouble all along the way.
Hmm.
So, you try to make it so that they have a good solid foundation, and then you build on it. I used to run tours for prospective parents, for people who are choosing elementary schools.
Mm-hmm.
And I have, the teachers put up bulletin boards of the children's work.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to keep samples of when the kids first enter school in kindergarten
Yeah.
and what they are able to produce at the end of kindergarten. And, when I asked parents, I said, how old do you think this child is when he wrote this? And they said, 2nd grade, 3rd grade? I said, this is the end of kindergarten. So, it's interesting to see the statistics for PS 130 because in the beginning we had over 65% of the population as non-English speakers, okay? Over the years, we got them to pass the English language exam at a much younger age. And we have annually, at least when I was there, about 70% of our kids making it into the best middle schools. So, I have a gifted and talented program
Okay.
in the school, but the gifted and talent program at the time only had 30 kids in it. Each grade had about 180 kids.
Oh.
So, I tell parents, I said, don't be upset if your child is not in the gifted talented program. He'll get a good education in the regular program. In fact, our program is, the kids in the other programs are making it into the best high schools too, middle schools as well.
Yeah.
Because 30 is not 70% of 180.
Right, no, that's what I was gonna say, the math is. So the kids, how did you, there's definitely the teachers who were very much on board and worked as a team, but how did you get the kids to be on board too?
Well, like I said, as long as it's consistent over the years, they get into a routine. And because, then you're not throwing something new at them. This teacher did it this way, no, that teacher did it that way. We're using books that are not consistent.
Right.
The methodology of how we teach them. So when I started making the changes, I started with the lower grades. We had the intense teacher professional development for kindergarten and 1st grade.
Oh, wow, okay.
So they got the kids ready for the next grade. So we had intensive teacher training for 2nd grade the following year, and then 3rd grade the following year. So
you started them young.
right. So they're ready. The kids who came from the 1st year
Yeah.
with the teacher who were in training already know the system.
Oh, I see.
We had classroom libraries. We had certain areas where you had certain activities. So it was consistent in the classrooms. We had level books where, you may have, being able to read is one thing. And when kids come in, they don't necessarily are able to read the grade level content materials.
Oh, okay.
And so what we try to do is we get content-rich, low vocabulary books
Oh,
so that they could at least understand the content
right.
as they're learning English. And so they can, if you're learning social studies, some of the books may be in simpler English,
Yeah.
and some would be, for the more advanced, it'd be, high vocabulary.
Right. So, when you mentioned when you retired, I believe in 2014.
Right.
Was that a tough decision, or what got you to retire?
It was a very tough
What
decision.
got you? Yeah, I imagine.
I think if
How
I
long
had,
were you thinking about
I
it?
think had I not gotten ill,
Mhm.
that I couldn't keep up the pace of the job. Because when I did the job, I put my whole self into it.
Mhm.
Like I said before, in the beginning I was working 12, 14 hours a day, 7 days a week. Getting ready and getting things prepared for the teachers and, booking people to help them and
Mhm.
stuff like that. It took a toll on me,
It took a toll on you, the 12 to 14.
Right.
Yeah.
and we having lived through 9/11 and all of that stuff down here. I think had I not gotten sick, I probably would have been there now.
Yeah? So so it was a tough decision, but it was driven by.
Yeah, it was a
Okay.
decision driven by my concern for my health.
Mm.
And, whereas I was not welcome at the school in the beginning,
Yeah.
when they threw me a retirement party, it was 800 people showed up.
Wow, I was going to ask you, what was it like in your memory bank the last day, that retirement party?
Yeah, they threw a retirement party at the old gin fund when they had that massive venue.
Mm-hmm.
So we had over 800 people showed up for that.
Wow. And after retiring, or did you think about what you were going to do afterwards?
Well, I did. The day when I announced that I was retiring,
Yeah.
the person who had funded a program called the Kahn Fellowship
Mhm.
Program, it was a program at the Columbia Teachers College
Yeah.
that provided professional development for high-performing principals.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in the first cohort of that program
Okay.
in 2003.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When he heard that I was retiring, he called me to have lunch with him.
Okay.
And I went to have lunch with him, and as we were talking, he pulled out a piece of paper from his jacket and he says, "Take a look at this." I said, "What is this?" He said, "Just take a look." It was a job description for the directorship of the Kahn Fellows Program. So I said, I'm retiring. I don't think I want to do this. And he says, "Well, think about it. Think about it." So I thought about it, and he says, we could really use you in the program. And so I thought about it, and I thought about the impact that program had made on me, because it really, at the time, I think it really served me well, because I was reaching a point of burnout from all the, all the work that I was putting in. But it helped me to think about, how to deal with that, and, the importance of the work, and how to help other people who may be struggling with the same kind of,
Mm-hmm.
I guess, crossroad.
Yeah.
Do I stay, do I go, how can I continue? And I found that having participated in that program in 2003 allowed me to stay on a job till 2014.
Oh, wow. So you thought about it?
I thought
the piece
about
of
it, and
paper.
then I accepted it. And I retired on Friday and started working for him on Monday.
So you didn't really retire. You retired from your position
Right,
at
right.
PS 130.
But now, but then I worked on that job until 2018. And
Oh, so for 4 years then?
for 4 years.
Okay.
And I'm still part of the program, but on a as-needed basis.
Okay.
So I help with the intake of, candidates for the program.
Mhm.
And I did a workshop session with them last night, just helping people dealing with the crisis that they are having
Mhm.
now.
Oh.
With the uncertainty around education,
Yeah.
what is the policy how is it gonna impact me?
Mhm.
And, we found out from one school district, I think in the West Coast, that all the principals were given notice that as of the end of this year, your services are no longer needed. And if you want to work again, then you have to reapply. I think that's crazy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just as part of the conversation, although you're retired and you were, after 2018, you're still very much involved
Yes.
in some ways. And I was gonna say, with the recent, especially with the recent changes in education, what are you busy with these days? It sounds like you also mentor, continue to contribute, right? And you're not really retired.
I'm not getting paid.
Okay,
So all of this is voluntary.
yeah, I was gonna say
right
today,
now.
what is your focus today?
Well,
Yeah.
I still keep in touch with a lot of the people that I did mentor. And when I was principal there and part of the CON program, sometimes they need to vent.
Mhm.
And so they'll pick up the phone and says, I'm really struggling with this. What do you think? And so it's some reassurance, some advice,
Mhm.
and some some ideas you might want to think about.
Mhm.
Maybe it's not for you. That it depends on each person.
Hmm.
But I'm open to helping when I can.
And in terms of the folks who are younger people who are interested in teaching or education, do you do any connection or share your own story with them? I'm talking about, even high schoolers or maybe even into the early
Well, I do.
20s. And what is your advice to them?
Some of the kids who went to 131 was principal there, are now teachers at the school.
Oh, I did not know.
So
Okay.
apparently it made a good impression on them. They want to work at the place where they spent the first 7 years of their life. It's someone there from pre-K to kindergarten and then 5 years after. So that's 7 years.
Yeah.
That they had a good experience that they want to come back to work at the same building. So you ask a lot of people, who were teachers in elementary school? They can't remember. Who was your principal in elementary? I don't know. I don't remember. But,
Oh, that's pretty interesting. And what's some of the advice that you give younger people who are interested in a career pathway or exploring, I should say, in education?
Well, it has to be a passion. When I used to hire teachers, it can't be viewed as a job. You have to be able to help the kids feel a passion for something. And so, that's usually one of my last interview questions with them. Okay, I know your qualifications. Okay, but what drives you? What makes you happy?
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe you should share that with your class. So, the teachers took me up on it, and one of them liked drumming, so he was helping the kids learn drumming. One of them plays the flute, so they were teaching the kids, music that way. So that, one was a runner, and so, she started running runners club with the kids. So, it's just a matter of sharing your passion and getting them to say, and telling the kids, what is your passion?
Hmm.
Should you, and how would you like to pursue it? We had a student at our school who ultimately became a Olympian swimmer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Now, who's that?
Leah.
Lee. Oh,
Yeah.
is it Lee and Neil?
Yeah.
Oh, really? I swim too.
Oh, yeah. She came to our school, and I have to say that her commitment to swimming, she would swim 2 hours before school,
Mhm.
go home and do her homework, and then swim another 3 hours after that. And so, and she was in the gifted and talented class, which, had a lot more assignments and things to do, but, she was able to carry that through.
And what do you continue to stay engaged with? What is your passion these days?
My passion, I always had a passion for the drum and bugle corps. I still play with an alumni drum and bugle corps.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's called the New York Skyliners.
Where do you guys play?
I play a mellophone horn.
Yeah, what are some of the most important lessons that you've learned in life? Maybe from your mentors or in your journey so far?
Well, I have to say that I learned a lot from the drum and bugle corps experience because how we play the music, we have to learn the music, and then we have to march on a football field and play the music. The ultimate goal is for us to play well.
Mm.
The drum and bugle corps does not have music stands that you have attached to your horn or attached to your drum or anything like that. It all has to be all memorized. And so I have to say that for me, I don't consider myself a real musician, because I can't really read music. I can read it slowly, but I can't read it well enough to play it. You give me a piece of paper and to read it and play it all at once. I have to have somebody play it for me. I have to put my fingerings on the music.
Yeah.
And so, that gave me sort of an aha moment that for kids,
Mm.
it's a matter of giving them access.
Mm.
What is it that you want them to be able to do? How we get there has to be tailored to the person, at the time. So for me, my ultimate goal was to play as well as the person next to me.
Oh.
It doesn't matter how I learn my music, as long as I learn it.
Hmm. Yes, Luza. Bless you.
Thank you.
Um,
So, having lived through that myself,
Mm-hmm.
I can see how some kids struggle in the classroom,
Mm-hmm.
where the teacher teaches one way,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not reaching the kids who are struggling. And so, it's not a one-size-fits-all type of thing. And so when, another thing that I changed at the school as a result of this is not having all kids just move up to a teacher. And if it's not a good fit, you have to move that child to a teaching style that will enable that kid to learn. So some kids need a stricter environment and thrive in that kind of environment. Some others need some more, some extra TLC.
Oh, okay. So
You
not
know.
one size fits all. is what you're-
So so I look at the teaching style when I make up the class list,
Mhm.
and having going into each of the classrooms and seeing particular children.
Yeah.
Some children come to your attention a little bit more.
Right.
you kind of think about what teacher would best fit this child,
Yeah.
you know, and so you're able to move it. So, you know, they used to have, before I came in, they had level classes.
Mhm.
So they had a top class, less than top, middle, less than middle, and a bottom class,
Oh, wow.
okay?
Yeah.
In terms of ability.
Mhm.
And so, not everybody fits into the same thing. And
Right.
quite honestly, you know, the lower, the lower achieving
Mhm.
classes, the children who are low ability, actually can be motivated by someone who, you know, can speak in their words.
Oh, someone who
Yeah, and
gets.
right, can explain it to each other a little better. Sometimes kids can explain stuff better to
Yeah.
each other than than the teacher can.
Right.
And so what I did was I ended up having integrated classes, so that with different levels in the same class, so that there was no top class, there was no middle class, there was no bottom class.
Mhm.
That everybody had a little bit of something in each classroom.
And what was the result of that, of having the integrated?
Higher achievement. Higher achievement.
Mhm.
And so, you know, I did that slowly because I got, and when I talked about teacher buy-in, I got 2 teachers who were willing to try it out.
Okay.
And the results of their 2 classes actually outdid the other classes.
Oh, interesting.
Because, you know, I found that with the teachers, they would look at the bottom, because they rotated. You know, you didn't always get the top class.
Oh,
If you got
okay.
the top class, then you go to the bottom the
Yeah.
next year, and then you work with up, so it was rotation. So the top class teacher will look at the incoming class and say, oh my God, I'm gonna get these kids, what am I gonna do? And not really focus on the top kids so much, but worrying about the
About
the bottom. And then as the teachers move up, because again, the bottom kid teacher would say, oh, I can't wait to get rid of these kids.
Yeah, right.
You know, so you know, I don't want people to write off kids who are struggling.
Mhm.
And so if everybody gets a mix of them, then you know, it works out. There was resistance at first,
Yeah,
but when they saw the results of those 2 classes,
yeah.
then 2 other teachers said, listen, I'd like to do that too. So it was on a
Okay.
volunteer basis.
Mhm.
And by the time by the 3rd year, I think everybody was okay with it.
Was okay with it. I was also gonna ask one thing earlier, was what is your leadership style and how is that developed?
I think it's a mixture, you know, there's no one set leadership style. Sometimes you have to be stern and say, this is it, this is what you have to do. And the other way, you know, I think you have to be a good listener to hear what the resistance is and why, and then try to get rid of that resistance by addressing those issues. You know, if you don't know about the issues, you can't address it. And so when I used to have meetings with with the teachers union, because we had monthly meetings to talk about any issues that come up, I said, well, let me have an agenda first.
Yeah,
And so, you know, I don't want to come to a meeting and then you're bombarding me with questions and I don't have any idea what you're talking about. So I would ask for the agenda a week before and then try to think of ways that I could address their concerns. And it worked because, you know, it got to a point where our meetings were, anybody got a problem? Nobody?
that's a simple meeting.
Yeah.
In terms of the health issues that you've had, if you can talk a little bit about that. I mean, you're a 2-time kidney transplant
Correct.
recipient, one from a deceased, one from living. And I was going to ask, how has that journey, perhaps, what lessons have you learned from that chapter? within your life?
Well, certainly better than dialysis. I was on dialysis for, I started dialysis at the 2020, no, maybe 2019, what? 19, right? 2019. And I started with the hemodialysis. And I found that to be extremely painful, and it just took a toll on my body. So after the 4-hour treatment, I would find myself totally weak, unable to walk, had to be wheeled to the car, and then it took a good half hour to get from the car to my house, into my house, and then another half hour trying to get up the stairs to the bedroom. And the next day I would have to be in bed for a good part of the day. And by the time I felt better, it was time for the next session. And so they asked me if I would try the peritoneal dialysis, which is instead of through a catheter that filtered out your blood, they use the peritoneal lining of your body as a sort of a big filtration system. And they put like 2 liters of liquids into your system. And it would clean out the stuff through osmosis or whatever, through the lining. And then I would have to exchange that, by putting taking the old fluid out and putting new fluid in. I changed from the manual dialysis to one that I use a machine at night. And so that was actually, of all the ways of having dialysis, that was probably the most comfortable.
Oh, okay.
Because you did it while you're sleeping. You get hooked up before bed, and it does the dialysis for 10 hours overnight.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so you had most of your day, but the downside was you had to be home by 8, then be hooked up, and you couldn't leave the house till 8:30 or so the next day because you had to get unhooked and all of that stuff.
So limited.
It's limited,
There's
but you had your
parameters.
day free.
Right.
So, that was a good thing. But then I got called one night at 3 in the morning on May 19th, May 20th, 3 in the morning, that they had a deceased donor kidney for me, and that I had to be at the hospital within the hour.
Oh, wow.
So we got up there by 4:30 or so, and I was on the operating table at 10, and I got my new kidney, but because it was from a deceased donor, it had a problem waking up, because when they take the kidney out from the donor,
Oh, you mean the organ had a problem?
well, the organ has to be put to sleep. They put it on ice, and I don't know where this kidney was coming from, but if it was flown in or whatever, there's a time limit as to the life of the kidney. And so I don't know how long the kidney was on ice, but when they put the kidney in, it had trouble starting up. And so I ended up having a lot of problems with that, and recovery took quite a long time. In fact, I was in and out of the hospital and in a rehab center from May 20th until Thanksgiving.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. November.
Right.
Yeah.
So when I came home, the kidney was struggling. And so, my nephrologist said, you're going to need another kidney. And I said, well, how long is that going to take? And he says, well, this kidney that you have, you'd be lucky if it'll last till December.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so, so we started off right away looking for a new kidney. And I thank the doctors for deciding early that if they declare the kidney that I receive not suitable,
Yeah.
then that I keep my place on the list.
Ah, okay.
Okay, if they pass the 90 days
Mm-hmm.
and they don't put my name, and don't declare it
Mhm.
not suitable, then I go back to the bottom of the list if I need a
Oh,
new kidney.
Oh, wow, so you could stay on the, you stayed right
I
where
stayed,
you
I,
were.
I was already waiting almost 6 years for the
Oh,
kidney.
wow.
Okay.
Mhm.
But then I had a wonderful advocate who was helping me get the word out on social media.
How did you find the advocate, or they were
A
like?
friend, a drunk friend introduced me.
Oh,
Says, I know this person who got her brother-in-law a kidney, and she's now doing work helping others.
mm-hmm.
You know, maybe she can help you. So I got in touch with her, and she accepted.
Mm-hmm.
And she went out and you know, she did posting on Facebook and on Instagram.
And on the billboard, the billboards were separate?
Well, what happened was she says, let's try another thing. And she went out and contacted billboard companies
Okay.
and said, you know, I want to help this person
Mm-hmm.
get the word out.
Yeah.
And so she found out that billboard companies,
Mm-hmm.
if they don't have a client that uses the space, they don't like to leave it empty,
Okay.
and they're not going to extend the billboard for the person who just paid, you know, otherwise it
Right.
goes on forever. So, so they donate some of that open time
Oh,
to good causes.
okay.
And so she got me on a billboard on Times Square, and lots of billboards along the highways, in Major Deegan and
Okay.
on Queens Boulevard. And
Were you surprised by it all? Like,
I'm surprised it didn't cost me a penny.
that's, yeah.
So you know, and my donor happened to be driving on a Major Deegan one day, and I guess she got stuck on traffic or had seen that
Yeah.
billboard, and she says, "Oh, I have her blood type."
Because it's, oh.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
And she says, you know, let me check into this. So she went to my microsite where I tell my story and
Mhm.
why I'm asking for a kidney and what I want to do with my life after.
Mm-hmm.
And she decided to get herself tested.
Mm-hmm.
And the testing period lasted a couple of months, you know.
Yeah.
Because they do a very thorough
Mhm.
evaluation of her.
Mm-hmm.
Not only whether she is physically compatible
Mm-hmm.
with me, but also if she's psychologically
Right.
ready
Right.
to make such a sacrifice.
Yeah.
And that they have to know that they cannot expect something in return.
Yeah.
And so she had seen the billboards in May, I
Mhm.
think.
And what year was this? This was
This past year,
this past year, right?
Yeah.
2020, yeah.
2024.
Mm-hmm.
And when she was through about 90% of the evaluation, she reached out to me on Facebook
Hmm.
and said, "Hi, I'm looking to donate to you. I didn't want to reach out until I was pretty sure it was going to go through."
Yeah.
And so, you know, she reached out to me. I kept in touch with her superficially because
Okay.
I didn't want to pressure her.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people will go through the whole thing and say, "No, you know, I changed my mind."
Right.
And so we sort of kept our distance,
Yeah.
and my advocate kept in touch with her.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't meet her till the day of the surgery.
Oh.
And so
Interesting.
I didn't actually meet her on the day of surgery.
Mhm.
She was registering for
Okay.
the, you know, to be entered into the hospital, and I
Yeah.
was registering also. I knew what she looked like,
Okay.
but I wasn't sure if that was her.
Ah.
And so I, you know, I kind of looked at her, I think that's her, I don't know. And when they were calling me in
Mhm.
to get me prepped for the operation, I passed her and our eyes locked, and I knew it was her.
Oh.
Okay, but we didn't say anything to each other. After the surgery, I said to the nurses, I said, "I know my donor is here." I said, "Can I meet her?" They said no. And And I said, why? And they said, unless the donor is willing, okay, and wants to meet you, we have to respect their privacy.
Okay.
Because there are donors who donate anonymously,
Yeah.
and you don't want any contact with the receiving family. But she said yes. So I met her on the second day when she was being discharged. I mean, that's how quick it was.
Wow.
We went in for surgery on the 5th. She was discharged on the 7th. And so she came down to my room, and we met, and we took a picture, and I think I sent that to you.
Yeah.
And I was discharged this time, 2 days afterwards, and have been home since.
I was gonna ask, do you look at your life differently now than before you were diagnosed and before you went through the transplants? Is your perspective on life or your own?
I appreciate it a lot more.
Yeah.
And, you have to roll with punches. I think part of it is that I had to keep a healthy attitude, because you can either play victim and feel sorry for yourself, or you can, try to be hopeful. And, being hopeful actually, as a result, inspired other people to be as hopeful. And so,
Yeah.
for my journey, I had been documented on Facebook, so I
Yeah.
had a pretty huge following on my account.
Your account, yeah.
So they, if I didn't post the next day, they said, what happened? They said something, So occasionally I would have to say, oh, nothing's happened much.
Right.
This is the state right now.
So when it comes to organ donation, and this comes from several organ donation organizations, the statistics for donors, especially from Asian Americans, are say the lowest in terms of donors. I believe it's 3%, and it's on the bottom. Wondering if you have any words or any, comments for the community out there, especially being Asian.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with cultural beliefs. They want the body, at the end of life to be whole, going down. And I know that there's a lot of people who say, I wish I could donate, but it's hard for me to decide. My family won't let me, that kind of stuff. But they should consider it, and I was lucky that there are people out there who are willing to donate, even if they don't know anybody.
Oh, okay. So your message is obviously there are challenges, culture, barrier, but what I'm hearing is to consider it.
Right, to consider it. And, I know of people who are Asian who donated to their spouses or donated to family. They're less willing to donate outside.
Yeah.
But at least that's a good, move into organ donation if you're tested and are compatible.
Right.
And that would be a consideration because you're saving a person's life.
What are you proudest of when you look back?
Oh, I'm proud of a lot of things. I'm proud of the fact that I was able to make an impact on a lot of lives through my several jobs, in different ways. An impact on school leaders, impact on kids, impact on parents. Because as an elementary school principal, you also have to play social worker and and nursemaid to kids who don't get that love at home. A lot of Asians don't believe in hugging very much, and I mean it's changed over the years, but I think they're more huggable and things now, but you know, in past years, you know, they're so into work
Mhm.
that the kids are left to babysitters and daycare and after school and weekend schools, that they
Mhm.
really don't spend any quality time with their kids. And so, you know, a lot of times when I was principal, you know, parents would ask me, how come they listen to the teachers better? And how come they listen to you better? I said, because we give them time that they need. You know, sometimes you just need to give them some space and some a person to talk to, or even just a quick hug when they're sad. You know,
Mhm.
it's they don't show that emotion very much sometimes. You know,
Mm.
and maybe because they're so distracted with trying to make a living and
Yeah.
trying to make ends meet.
Mhm.
You know, I don't fault them for it, but you know, there are needs that have to be met with family,
Mhm.
and you know, I know growing up, my father worked, you know, worked an afternoon night shift,
Yeah.
and so you know, when I went to school, he was sleeping, and when I came back, he was gone, and then when I went to sleep, he hadn't been home yet,
Mm.
and so I saw my father maybe once a week when he took a day off.
Mhm.
So I understand, you know, the kind of commitment they have to make to the families.
Mhm.
But, you know, kids need someone that they can get that emotional support from, and the teachers feel that.
Mm.
And so they're willing to listen a little bit better. And, you know, I've had parents come to me and say, can you tell him he's got to take a bath at 8 o'clock? I said, why? You know, because he won't listen to me. You know?
So they turn to you
Yeah.
to communicate that as well. Have you returned to PS?
Often.
30, or when's the last time that you went there?
Well, I haven't I haven't this year yet because of, I'm still only 4 months past post-surgery.
Oh, okay.
And so I have limited exposure to people right now. So if I'm in a large group, so I have to mask.
Oh, okay.
So I try to avoid it because I don't want to endanger this kidney at all.
Right.
And so, but prior to that, I used to go there weekly.
Oh, wow.
So because I'm close with the Parents Association.
Oh. Mhm.
The person that the events coordinator for the Parents Association was a parent that worked with me. And
Uh-huh.
she continued working with the Parents Association, and
Yeah.
you know, I go there and hang out and kind of, you know, chat with parents, and you know, a lot of times the conversations that happen in the parents' room gives you insight as to what parents are concerned about.
Yeah.
And so, you know, they could be complaining about something at school, or they could be
Oh,
complaining
right.
about something that the kids are not getting, or
Yeah.
you know,
So you
or
would hear-
something that they need
Mhm.
in terms of support.
Yeah.
And so they can tailor the, you know, the school can then address those issues by either, you know, holding parent meetings and workshops for parents, you know,
Yeah.
about how to prepare your child for testing,
Mhm.
how to, and it's not making them study all the time.
Mhm.
You know, sometimes kids need a breather.
Mhm.
If you're having them go to school
Yeah.
and then going to Chinese school on Saturday and
Yeah.
some sort of prep thing on Sunday,
Yeah.
you know, if you're a seamstress, the last thing you want to do when you go home is to sew another dress, right?
Usually, right?
or if you're a cook, you
Yeah.
know, you don't want to be cooking at home.
Right.
And so it's you know, so they have to give their kids a break.
Mhm.
And so we tell them that, you know, the best preparation for the day before the test is letting them get a good night's sleep,
Mhm.
get a good meal,
Yeah.
okay? Because if they haven't learned it by then, it's too late.
That's good advice, actually, right? That can go beyond kids as well. Well, much has changed probably with the world. You were there at the school for 25 years, right? And then since then you were years. So, what is your own crystal ball for in terms of education as we're in the vortex of changes, a lot from now back from when you started, right?
Well, I think I was much clearer last year about where education was going. This year, with a lot of the policy changes and the Department of Education being dismantled, there are concerns because you can't just roll it back to the states without some sort of transition.
Yeah.
And the one thing good about having a U.S. Department of Education was that you raised the standards in some of the states.
Yeah.
Where whereas before, when the states were overseeing everything, the expectation levels and achievement levels of individual states were, very far apart. At least you had a standard that people would try to meet.
Right. So unknown.
It's unknown right now.
So outside of, I was almost going to say work, but you're officially retired, right? What are your passions? What's a weekend look like for you? You did mention bugle playing.
Yeah.
Now, and you mentioned that your family had a big part as well in your career, right? So what do you guys do on the weekends, or what are some of your
Well, right
hobbies?
now, not very much because of my isolation period,
Right.
but we like family time. My children and my husband are very close with each other, and my kids are also in education. And
Oh, are they?
Yes.
Oh.
My son is a professor at Lafayette College in chemical engineering.
Huh.
Okay, and my daughter is assistant director of institutional studies at Columbia Teachers College.
Oh. Did you influence them?
I'm sorry?
Did you play an influence in their career?
Sort of, I guess yes, but it was not forced on them.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that interested them in education was their volunteer time at my school. And so, over the summers when I had to work, and they had nothing to do, they came and helped me at the school.
Yeah.
In summer school, they did the Xeroxing, they did the mail sorting. They had some friends who were teachers in my school, and so they
Yeah.
helped out in the classroom a little bit. My son was originally not into education; he was into research in chemical engineering, but found a passion for teaching while he was doing his master's program at Columbia, when he was a teaching assistant.
And finally, or maybe last but not least, what makes you laugh? What brings you joy?
It brings me joy when I hear from people that I had not seen in a long time, who stop me and say, "You don't know how much of an impact you made on my life." Because you never see that. You do things and you don't expect anything in return. But with people getting in touch with me again on Facebook and expressing those kinds of feelings to me, it makes me feel good that it was not for nothing that I did the work. It just makes me feel good that it had helped a lot of kids, and it kept, when I was working at the Chinese school, the drum corps over here, because I ran the community drum corps, that I kept a lot of kids out of trouble. Because there was a period of time where there were a lot of gangs in the neighborhood, and kids were, if they hung out on the street, they would get involved in the gangs and whatnot. So we had the drum corps there. They came and played music, but then they used it as a hangout with friends, and their parents were happy about that because they knew they were in a safe place. And so, it's in a school, they're hanging out, they're
Yeah.
playing basketball, they're just meeting with friends, and,
Yeah,
you know, it's better than being on the street, and, you know,
Right.
so, you know, and some of those kids who grew up with me there,
mhm,
when they found out I was principal at 130, brought their kids to the school to register. And so, you know, and said to me, do to them what you did for me.
so this is their kids?
Yes,
Ah, very, very interesting. I mean, you have dealt with some challenging, right? You mentioned the gangs or some of the populations of students, right? That are
Right.
not in a good place.
well, at that time, I was like 20 years old, 20, 21, 22.
Yeah,
I was running the program with my husband at the Chinese school, and
yeah,
a lot of the kids were, you know, they were in danger of being, you know, solicited by the gangs to join them.
yeah.
Okay, because the 70s, the 60s, 70s,
Mhm.
there was a lot of gang fights over here. And in fact, my brother ended up going to school in Chicago because he was constantly trying, you know, they were trying to engage him in gang
Oh,
fights
wow.
and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And so when he was applying for college, my mother said, you
Yeah.
know, go, just be away from this influence.
Yeah,
So, you know, a lot of them were really thankful that we had a place for them,
mhm,
because they needed a social life, they needed some place to meet friends and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And so, you know, their parents, when they heard, oh, they were Lily, I said, yeah, okay, go with Lily.
this has been a wonderful discussion, you know, it does feel like we're kind of in a coffee shop, I feel,
Yeah.
right? The atmosphere a little bit. So is there anything, I mean, your story is inspirational and covered quite a lot too. Is there anything else that you'd like to add, or maybe talk about the next, because you're retired but not really retired, you have still a lot of energy. Is there anything else that you like to do that you've always wanted to do?
Well,
Could be anything.
well, we'd like to travel a little bit, you know, in the future. I hadn't been able to consider that for the last 10 years or whatever. I couldn't travel when I was working,
Yeah,
and then getting sick and stuff like that, so the limitations, you know, we look forward to doing some traveling, and we have a granddaughter now, so we're
Mhm.
looking forward to spending time with her.
yeah.
And so, you know, and still being engaged in education in some way. And so I'm glad I'm still connected with the Kahn Fellows program, because you know, I do occasional workshops, I'm still in touch with people, and it's just, you know, whatever I can offer to other people, I am very willing to offer.
So it never really leaves you, right, the teaching, it sounds like, or being in education, or it's part of it.
Well, again, it is a passion.
Yeah,
You know, it's a way of life, and you know, but it's helping people to understand more about the people they deal with, and about themselves, you know, as a learner.
all right, well, thank you, Lily, for
Thank
your
you.
time. And I believe, you know, I almost lost track of time, but we'll have a lot to share. It might end up being a shorter video, but I felt like it should be, you know, something maybe longer. It could, because there's also an
Well,
oral
then you can-
history. There's an oral history project too. Maybe we can find a way. Yeah. So that's been great. I was gonna say that some of the students, I'm just thinking, they bring their own kids now, right, to the school? Is that
Yes.
right? There's some of the school, yeah. So that's pretty amazing to see the generations, right?
Well, the
They
fact
come
that they
back.
want to bring the kids to the school
Right,
is
it's-
something, you know,
Yeah,
because you don't want to bring a child to a place you don't like.
no, right. That must be an amazing.
But that's one thing that, you know, the school was, you know, there are like 1,000+ schools in the city.
Yeah.
You count all the high schools and elementary schools and whatnot.
Right,
We had always placed in the top 10 in attendance.
That's very good.
okay?
Yeah.
And the reason for that, if kids enjoy their time at school, they would
Mhm.
want to come to school,
Right, that's a good point, yeah.
okay? So if they hated school, if it's boring, or if it's, it's something they don't want to,
Mhm.
not a place where
Mhm.
they want to be,
Mhm.
they're not going to want to come to school.
Right, they just don't show up.
And so, I had introduced a lot of arts programs at the school,
Yeah,
where every kid from pre-K through
Mhm.
grade 5, regardless of ability,
mhm.
gets an arts program of some sort each
Hmm.
year.
Oh,
And
wow.
so that's on top of the full-time music teacher and full-time art teacher that I have. at the
Oh,
school.
okay.
Okay, this is with a partnership. And so, like the kindergarten and second grade gets a program with Inside Broadway.
Oh, wow.
And the kindergarten and, I don't know if they changed it, but they used to get, first grade gets NDI,
Mhm.
National Dance Institute,
Oh, wow. Uh-huh.
and the fourth grade gets a National Dance Institute. So
Yeah.
what we did over the years is that we
Mhm.
sort of scaffolded,
Mhm.
that we had partnerships, but they did an earlier partnership with the younger grades.
Oh, I see,
And
yeah.
then they build on advancing it in the.
When they're older, when they're a
When
little
they're
bit
older,
older.
right.
Oh, that's smart.
And so they
Yeah.
get either dance, music,
Mhm.
theater, or
Yeah.
visual arts.
Oh.
At every year that they have there.
Well, that's really nice. So they get the curriculum, obviously, but then after school, they have, they
Right,
each
so
get
for
something.
third grade, we had violin, so everybody gets to play the violin. If you like it,
Yeah,
you can continue in fourth and fifth grade, so that's an option.
yeah.
But everybody takes violin in third grade.
So interesting.
And everybody gets National Dance Institute in fourth grade, and
Huh.
and we get ballroom dancing, and
So it's everyone, though, all, if you're in
Everybody.
third grade, okay.
everybody.
Mhm.
So.
And that was something that you, under your leadership, started?
Yes,
Oh, wow.
because before I came,
Mhm.
they had an art teacher. That was
Mhm.
it.
Wow, that sounds like a great program, not even something that, yeah. I mean, growing up, I never saw that myself either.
No, but what happens is with the partnerships,
Yeah,
they actually can continue with the partnership.
right.
So, we have an introduction
Mhm.
program, and then kids who like to dance will end up being with Rosie's Theater Kids or
Yeah.
National Dance Institute.
Mhm.
And in fact, one of our kids got a scholarship for dance, having participated in, actually a couple of them had gotten scholarships through some of our programs.
Oh, wow.
One of our dancers through NDI
Yeah.
ended up getting into Juilliard
Oh, wow.
and is dancing with Juilliard.
Oh, that's a great.
We had,
Mhm.
let's see what else. We just have a
So
number
some
of
of the
them.
kids ended up like really
Yeah.
taking it more for it. That's great.